Look, you're doing it again. You're overthinking once again on something that might not matter. But maybe it does. You see, as society, we portray overthinking as a really bad habit. But why? Why do we do that as a society? You see, when I was younger, my friends and family always used to tell me, Nicky, you gotta stop overthinking. You're stressing yourself out. You know, when you get older, you're gonna like mentally drain yourself. And, you know, as a kid, as a 12, 13-year-old kid, I'm like, damn, all right, maybe I should learn how to stop overthinking. So, you know, as I'm a 13-year-old going on my phone, I'm looking up, is overthinking really bad for you? And that's how you know I'm an overthinker. When you start to overthink, is overthinking bad for you? And here's what I found. Overthinking has its pros and cons, as really anything in life, but towards the overthinking, it can be bad for you towards things that don't matter, right? And I like to always ask myself is this going to matter for me in the next 5 or 10 minutes? If not, then I'm not going to overthink it. But overthinking has such great leverage towards being more creative, being a better problem solver, being a better decision maker, being a better strategist towards any idea that you have. And the beauty behind that is because you think about everything that needs to be fundamentally to be perfection, or not really perfection, but towards something that needs to be great. You see, let's say you're in school and you're doing a group project and your teacher assigned you as a group leader. And you know, you probably hate being a leader because who wants to be a leader? But sometimes the best leaders are the people that don't want to be leaders. And the people that do want to be leaders are the worst leaders because they just want to stay in power. But you see, let's say you're the group leader, you start to overthink about not only the rubrics of what you have to do step by step for the group project, but you start to think the people around you. What are they thinking? How are they doing their group project? You also start to think about your teacher, what they expect you to do, what they want. And then you start to think about the past, on like how other people presented their project, how other people formatted their project. You see, this is all assigned as a really strong leverage for your overthinking. And yes, don't get me wrong, it can be very draining, it can be very stressful, and overthinking isn't a very beautiful thing sometimes. But it's also like Ben Parker once said, is that with great power it becomes a great responsibility. Now listen, I'm not trying to say that overthinking is the best superpower, but also it is in a way. You know, not everyone overthinks, and I know a lot of people that don't really overthink. I remember asking them, do you overthink? They were like, yeah, like, you mean like I just think about stuff? Or like, yeah, but like, you know, you overthink about like, let's say one topic. And they were like, nah, not really, just go with the flow. And that is truly a beautiful thing. But if that's not you, then you gotta learn how to use overthinking toward your advantage. Another great thing about overthinking is that it also helps you plan for the future. It also plans for what you need to do because you think about some of the things from the past and you learn how to not do that again in the past. You don't want to recreate history, but you think about, okay, that didn't work, so I'm going to try a different route for the future to get a different outcome. And many people don't tend to do that because they don't think about the past. They don't overthink about that scenario in their head. Something that I like to do that helped me leverage this in creating a pros and cons list. And this is a very beneficial thing to have because not only will this help stress out your overthinking, but it will also plan it all out, see it all on paper. It's the best idea to have everything written down to format what you're looking for. But also, another thing that you should also remember is don't dwell on the past too much. You know, the past is the past, it doesn't matter, right? There's always constant saying is that when you dwell on the past, you're going to be stuck in the past. Same thing goes for the future. You don't want to dwell in the future. You also want to be in the present. That's why I say when you overthink, you want to overthink towards the present. You want to overthink toward using the past as leverage to help you build a future. And that's something that I was learning with my overthinking. Again, I will say is when you do overthink, is that you need to also understand is that it's not a bad thing. I think it's a very beautiful thing. I think it's a way to be creative. It's a way to be a little bit smarter around you, the people around you. I think it's a way to also just be free with your mind. That's why I always recommend as any overthinker is that write in a journal, get a piece of paper out, or use an app called Notion and write down all your thoughts down because it's the best way to really come up with the best ideas. I will always say people that are constantly the overthinkers are usually the type to be like an introvert, and when you're an introvert, you don't really go out much. So like that's not also a bad thing. I was going to make a topic on that video too, on how we portray that being alone as a society, is that when you're alone and when you're overthinking, you could use that as leverage. You could use that and coming up with the best ideas ever. As you can create a business idea, as you can create a new content idea, as you can create a new writing thing, like a writing article. And this is really what it comes down to pursuing your dream, overthinking. And about me, I always talk about pursuing your dream, and using overthinking as leverage for pursuing your dream is a great way. It could also backfire at you, of course, because you start to overthink and you start to do the self-comparison, or you start to think, this idea didn't work, what do I do now? But that's the beauty about overthinking. You'll think about new ways of how to make this work. You'll think about ways of how to make this make a reality.